Hi, my name's Janet Fitch, and I met Les 20 years ago in Kate Braverman's workshop, where we were all learning to be ourselves. Les was a little ahead of everyone. He was the first one to get a book published. He would critique you'd never worry about what he would say about your work, because he had a gentle way of even delivering the bad news. He taught, I remember reading a story and getting the oddest critique from him. He said, "Don't have ideas." I'm like, what? How do you write and not have ideas? But what he meant was to bring your whole self to it, to write what's in your bones, not to write from the eyebrows up, but to write from the ground up, everything you are. We often had students in common in later years who would be terribly confused because I'm a throw-it-all-in person, and he's a take-it-all-out person. And I would say, "Oh, I'd like to know more about this, more, and they'd say, "I had it, but let's cut it out." As a writer and a person who was all of a piece, I know very few people who write and live in one aesthetic. Often we save our secret self for the page. Readers know us differently. With Les was knowable as a writer. As a person, he was very elusive. I'm seeing it from the other side. He was elusive. He was completely aware of what he was doing. He had a grittily romantic view of life. That's what interested him: neglected spaces, alleys, deserts. A grainy spareness marked his work. His art was like film scrubbed thin to let in more light. One of his students, Jamie Schaffner, told me that he had a YouTube channel, that he loved YouTube, and she had posted the Joni Mitchell clip of the song For Free, and I always saw him as, I could instantly see him as that clarinet player on the corner playing For Free. He was the last person who cared about American commerciality, and anything slick and self-serving was really abhorrent to him. He tried to live in a very authentic way. And watching his, I stayed up all night watching his YouTube channel and crying and trying to figure out the mystery of what went on in his head. And I wrote a poem, and some people, my friends, encouraged me to read it, so I'm going to give it a try. On watching your YouTube channel late at night for Les, we carve ourselves in light. I sat in the quiet house watching your video clips last night. They were so romantic, whimsical, each heartbreaking in its very own way. These washed-out films or pretty black and whites, the mystery of dust, overexposed, codes without a key. You were hidden in snips and clips, your funny cockeyed snapshots and that beached, bleached light. You liked Badlands, sand, chance encounters, but always youth and its perplexity. Romance, poignant and wrong-headed. Young lovers, top down, hair streaming into desert noons. Here on your channel, no one's ever grown old. Lovers may be desperate, but always beautiful. You wrote yourself out of the reunion. The birth of grandchildren, hair gone white, reading glasses on a chain. I wish I could wear a black sheath dress like Jeanne Moreau in a black and white movie, my hair up one last time. But I was not like that even back then, and now, Christ, I'm past even regretting it. I watched your films through half the night. It was like living through your dreams. They are not long, the days of wine and roses. Lee Remick and Jack Lemmon looking down over the rail as his empty pint sinks. When did you add that one? I'd like to know. Your YouTube keeps wanting me to return to the end of Smiles of a Summer Night. That gentle coming back to earth, the gentle landing, not the fall to a high-speed sidewalk outside a brick apartment in Venice Beach. I wish I could take you up in my wings, gather you up, fly you back into the light. No one knew me, looked right through me. Was that true? We're all so damned opaque, especially you. Before you waddled away on your bicycle, a Charlie Chaplin silent, bicycle, umbrella, clownish accoutrements, Laurel and Hardy moving a piano up all those stairs, comic Sisyphi. Why'd you let it go that far? You're on the other side. There's the man who dies and the man who's left to carry his memory. That's you. That's me.
So just quickly, our neighbors, we have a couple cars that are parked in where they drop off some kids and they're threatening to tow. So there's a BMW out here and then a Toyota with UCLA license plates. So that'll save you some trouble before they get rid of them.
Chris, did you move your Cadillac? Oh, it was a gold Cadillac? Hi. Lola Willoughby, please come up and say hello to us.
Hi guys. My name's Lola Willoughby, and I'm a big fat crybaby, so just bear with me. I met Les in, I think it was 1990, in Kate Braverman's workshop, and he was, a pretty good writer, and I was a brand new clueless writer, and when you're in Kate Braverman's workshop, it's kind of like being in the 3rd grade because everybody is vying to be teacher's pet. And in Kate's workshop, being pet really got you something, because if you were pet in Kate's workshop, you were guaranteed that your work would get read. We met every other Saturday, and Les was the pet. And so he always got to read. But he never, you know how pets can lord it over you and make you feel bad? Les never did that. Les was just that cool guy, that Les Plesko guy. And he was cool, and he was smart, and he was generous, and he told everything he knew. And that's what I loved about him. He never, ever made anybody feel like they were just a doofus. He always made you feel like, okay, you're going to pull that line out, damn it, you're going to get it. And you knew he was going to tell you everything he knew, and he knew this much, and I knew this much, and I thank him for that. And now I'm just going to read a tiny little bit, if I can do it without sobbing. Well, if I sob, what the hell? And I haven't read the last Bongo Sunset in a really long time, and I almost forgot what a good writer he is, but man, the guy can string together a few good sentences. Okay, so here's a page and a half. Les Plesko, and you guys remember that cadence he had when he read that Les Plesko cadence, and there's no way I'm going to pull that off. So just pretend like I'm a skinny little guy, with a cool voice and kind of unkempt and really skinny. And then I'll be Les. Okay. Memory is illumination. Illumination, Hannah once told me. The past is the proof of our presence. I have taken this axiom to heart, nurture it shamelessly. She said he was her proof, that she'd remember his saltpeter hair every day if she could, the man in the peppercorn greatcoat the color of pigeons and soot. He taught her how to brew chamomile tea as he liked it, to never hum Schumann or anything German. In turn, she recited the poem that went, "Death is the mother of beauty." He didn't believe it. How could he? Hannah said he'd always be mining that place where the difference between what is and what might have been was revealed. When it comes to my mother, I do the same thing. In his room with the curtains all drawn, in the part of the city most bombed in the war, her tongue traced his brand of blue circles and lines until the numbers were grafted inside her and wouldn't come out. She got used to removing her clothes with a casual languor and all kinds of light, carefully draping her pale underwear on the back of the single wood chair. At first she was cautious, approaching his narrow wood cot. Eventually she learned bold. Her voice became hoarse with his smoke and his name, and his belly on hers. "Are you sad? Do you love me? When will you be leaving?" were obvious questions she didn't dare ask. The man couldn't take too much pleasure. Hannah was certain she was his final allowance and gesture. He barely permitted himself the luxury of her yellow hair in his grasp. He denied her full-throated, brazen insistence, the sight of the part of her thighs from behind, her black market nylon back clasping legs, her slight smell of fresh marzipan. He must have known what would eventually happen. He understood history. It had seared on his skin with a brand. It would be a morning much like the others. Its surfeit of gray and its oatmeal birds speckled with sulfur. But he would realize a piece of sky come apart. It would be too large to contain him at last. The clouds would be crowded with faces. He'd try not to conjure, but this couldn't be done. They wouldn't be stopped. He wouldn't know how to hold them all back. They tell him his story had ended with them on a plank near the chimneys that never flamed out. He recalled the pills and the sock in the drawer. After my mother would finally leave him, he put on his favorite white shirt with the overstarched collar. He'd sit at the table and watch down each pill with a swallow of smuggled-in gin and tepid tap water. Maybe he'd lie fully dressed on the bed in his shoes. Now it wouldn't matter. He might think about leaving a note, but not nearly enough could be told. Though he loathed God with his face always turned, he would offer a just-in-case, last-minute prayer. Then he'd be not in the room, but a barracks with slacks and never-extinguished weak bulbs. Everyone would whisper, "Hannah." He'd rise from his pallet and walk undetained to the wire, spread both his arms, cross the fence, and step forward to meet her. He wouldn't be able to see her. Nevertheless, he'd know she was wearing her dress, bright like the light in the coach of that train in the immodest, indolent blush of that summer. In the film, it was slowing and afterlife white. I remember Hannah was lifting her hands to the overcast sky as if waiting forever. That's Plesko.